What should I look for during a home tour? A tour is really answering one question: do I want this house? It's not about catching every possible problem. That's what the inspection is going to be for later. I want you walking away from a tour with a gut sense of the layout, the feel, whether you could picture yourself living there, and any obvious red flags that you find along the way. Photos can hide a lot by leaving things out or make things look bigger or smaller than they actually are. Smell, natural light, how the room actually feels when you're standing in it, none of that comes through with just the listing photos. You really don't know a house until you're physically in it. And here's the biggest mistake I see buyers make on their very first tour: walking through with only their heart and not their head. It's easy to get swept up in how a place feels and miss the things that you normally would notice, like loving the number of spacious rooms, but ignoring that it's missing something important for you. So, tour versus inspection. The tour answers, do I want this house for my home? The inspection answers, what will this house actually cost me with the things that need to be repaired and such in mind? There's two different questions there, and I don't want you confusing one with the other. A tour is maybe 30 to 40 minutes. You don't use a ladder, there's no tools, no access to the crawl space or behind walls. But an inspector will spend hours going through everything with equipment, opening panels, and testing systems. You're going to catch surface level stuff on a tour, but the deeper issues are what the inspection is for. And a home looking great on a tour doesn't mean it's going to pass the inspection just fine. A home can show beautifully and still have real issues underneath that only come out during the inspection. That's exactly why the inspection matters, even when a house feels perfect on the tour. So the smell test and water damage. Smell is something you genuinely can't get from the photos, and it can tell you things that your eyes might miss. A musky smell especially is worth paying attention to. It's one of the easiest and earliest signs of a moisture issue. Now, an old house can just smell old, that's normal. Maybe like an old book, it could just be part of the vibe. But a musky and damp smell, though, that is different, and it often points to moisture somewhere, which could mean mold or a past leak. It's not something to panic over immediately, but it is something worth asking about. And if a room smells like fresh paint or air freshener, that can raise a flag too, especially if it's isolated to one room and nothing else in the house smells that way. Sometimes that's just someone touching up the wall, and sometimes that strong smell is there to cover up something underneath. So it's worth taking a closer look at that specific spot. What's being covered up? So here's how to tell if fresh paint or new flooring is hiding a problem instead of just an upgrade. Look at where the update is. If it's the whole room and everything's been done, that's probably just a regular upgrade, which is good. But if it's patchy, or one wall's painted differently, or there's new flooring but just in one section, that is worth asking more questions about. Overstaging can signal that there's something up too. Rugs and furniture could be placed in an unusual spot. That can be covering something on the floor or the wall. It's not always a red flag. Sometimes it's just decorating, but it is worth peeking underneath and asking if something, if something is easy enough to move. My simple rule for looking past staging is to look at the bones and not the decoration. Furniture and paint color can change easily and cheaply. Focus on things that are expensive to fix: the roof, the foundation, the system, not what the color of the walls are. Structural and systems red flags. Watch for cracks in walls and ceilings, uneven floors, doors and windows that don't close properly. Those are the kind of things that can point to bigger structural issues and are worth flagging for your inspector. You can also check on the home systems before the inspection even happens. Ask about the age of the roof, the furnace, and the water heater. You can also just look, if the electrical panel is outdated, are there obvious signs of roof damage or sagging? You're not going to know everything without an inspector, but asking those questions up front gives you a starting point. And none of these are automatic deal breakers though. Almost everything is fixable. It's really just a matter of cost. What matters is knowing what you're walking into, so you can decide if it's worth it to you, and not necessarily walking away the second you see one red flag. What not to worry about. Buyers fixate on paint, color, outdated fixtures, furniture style, and stuff like that. But those are the easiest and cheapest things to change once you own the place. Here's why it matters to separate cosmetic issues from real ones. If you are weighing paint color the same as foundational issues, you're going to make decisions based on some wrong priorities. Spending your energy on what's actually expensive to fix is a better use of your time, not on what's easy to repaint. I haven't had this happen with my own clients yet since I'm still building that experience, but it's really common in this line of business that someone passes on a great house because of something as small as like wallpaper or paint color. It's something I actively coach my buyers to watch out for. Questions buyers forget to ask. Ask how old the roof, furnace, and water heater are. Those are big ticket items, and knowing that age can give you a much clearer sense of what you might be dealing with down the road. Also ask how long a home has been on the market. It's not always a red flag, sometimes it just means that the price wasn't quite right yet. But it is worth asking, since a home sitting for a long time can sometimes point to something that buyers are noticing that isn't obvious right away. And yes, it's completely appropriate to ask why the sellers are moving. Sometimes the answer gives you some helpful context, but just keep in mind you're asking about the house and the situation, not anyone's personal life. If you're only remembering one thing from this video, it's this. The tour tells you if you want the house, and the inspection tells you what it will cost you. Don't treat one as a replacement for the other. You don't have to catch everything yourself. That is not your job. Walk in it with a clear head. Ask questions, take notes, if it helps, and trust that the inspection is there to catch what you can't. You have to look past the paint and see, is this really a space that you want to make your own? Does it feel like home material to you? Is this space open enough? How would you rate it out of a 10? Focus on the overall layout, the roof, the foundation, the systems, and things that would be expensive to fix or to change. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Reach out anytime, no pressure, just information. If this was helpful, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.